This video is going to go over the exercise on Khan Academy with the title Radians and Degrees. And this practice was assigned to you on the third week of distance learning. Now, whenever we're converting from radians to degrees or degrees to radians, you can think of it as just converting from one unit to another. So somewhere along your math journey as students, you probably have had to convert centimeters to inches or yards to feet. And you can think of this exercise as something the same. And we're going to be using the same techniques. Let's read the first question. Convert the angle theta equals 14 pi over 9 radians to degrees. Well, what I've done here on the side is that I've put the conversion factor that pi radians is simply equal to 180 degrees. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write the given over 9, and I'm going to make sure I put the units. This is being measured in radians. And I'm just simplifying it, shortening it to RAD. So we're given 14 pi radians over 9 and we want it to equal degrees. Well, all we have to do is multiply that to the conversion factor. Let's make that a little bit nicer. All right, making sure that radians is in the denominator. The reason that I want to make sure that radians is in the denominator and degrees is in the numerator is because I want radians to cancel out. It'll only cancel out if one of them is on top of the fraction and the other is underneath. So, next step I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that we put the correct quantity with its corresponding units. So it was 180 degrees and pi radians. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we are just going to multiply across just like we would normal fractions. So we've got 14 pi times 180. And in this case, we're just going to multiply the numbers. So 14 times 180 will give us 2,520. Don't forget that pi. Degrees in the numerator. And in the denominator, we've got 9 times pi, which will simply be 9 pi. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to see if anything can be canceled. Well, I see that there's a pi in the numerator and the pi in the denominator, so those cancel out. And let's see if I can divide these evenly. 2,520 divided by 9 actually divides into 280 evenly. So your final answer will be 280. And the typical way to write degrees is just that little circle up top. That'll be your final answer. All right, let's try another one. Okay, now this problem is going backwards because we are converting the angle theta equals 228 degrees to radians. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure I have my conversion factor written down. I really like always writing these types of information because writing it over and over and over again forces my brain to remember it, and then later on I don't have to keep writing it. But if you're still in the process of trying to remember this, please go ahead and challenge yourself to always be writing it down. It's also nice to have it to be able to refer to it. So again, just like earlier, we will begin by writing out our given. So we are given 228 degrees. Now, while I'm still converting, I really like writing kind of the whole word here. It just makes it easier for me to see that this is a unit. And we're going to multiply that by the conversion factor, which is a fraction. And because I've got degrees here, I'm going to put degrees in my denominator because that is what I want to cancel out. I want radians to be left. So that'll be up top. Next is putting the correct quantity with the correct unit. So it's pi radians. And it's 180 degrees. So 180 down here. All right. Well, you know that the degrees in the numerator and denominator will cancel out. And now all we have to do is simply multiply across. 228 times pi will simply give us 228 pi, don't forget your units, radians, over 180. Now what we're going to do is we're going to see if 228 and 180 divide evenly. Now if you do that on a calculator, you're going to see that those do not divide evenly. Now what can we do instead? Well, a really good practice is to find the greatest common factor between the two numbers. The greatest common factor in this case will be 4. Okay, so let's divide each number by 4. In the numerator, we've got 228 divided by 4 will give us 57. Well, let's write that the GCF is 4. That's why we're dividing by 4. Dividing by 4 in the denominator also. So 228 divided by 4 again is 57. So we're gonna have 57 pi radians in the numerator. And in the denominator, 180 divided by 4 is simply going to give us 45. And that is this fraction in lowest terms, which means that that is our final answer. Let's see how we can type this up. Okay, so there's this button that allows you to write down a fraction. In the numerator, we've got 57 pi, so 57. There's a button here for pi. And in the denominator, you've got 45, so 45.